to a developing story in LA. Adam, what can you tell us about the Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert?
Hannah, doctors have diagnosed him with plantar fascia in his right foot, and they're recommending that he stay in a walking boot for approximately 2 weeks before beginning a gradual return to play, ramp up, and the expectation right now is they believe he should be ready for the regular season opener against the Las Vegas Raiders. But let me say this. Number one, this is not how you want to start out your summer. This is not how you want to have your quarterback dealing with a walking boot if you're the new head coach of the Chargers, Jim Harbaugh. And this is the type of injury that stays with a player for a long period of time. He may be back for the regular season opener. That may be the expectation, but he's going to be playing through some discomfort in that foot, I think, potentially for the whole season.
Yeah, I mean, listen, anybody who's had that, professional football player, knows that it's painful and knows that you have to manage it as you go along, maybe for a long time, Dan.
Yeah, and I go back to last season and Joe Burrow with the calf injury in camp, and I understand that they're different injuries, but that calf injury had a pretty significant impact on Joe, both obviously missing a ton of camp, but then his play early in the season was so limited because he couldn't move around as much. And Justin's just as good of an athlete as Joe Burrow, you know, and so with this injury, essentially a month from the start of the season, I mean, it's a worst-case scenario start type of thing for this offense that doesn't have a lot of perimeter talent. Ladd McConkey's probably going to be their leading receiver, so Joe was going to have to carry a lot. Justin was going to have to carry a lot of the weight when it comes to the offensive performance. So hopefully he can rest and get as healthy as possible and maybe pay a little bit of attention to Cincinnati. Did Joe rush it last year, and did that lead to some other injuries that made him? I don't know, but like
slow start the last two seasons for the Bengals.
First thing that came to my mind philosophically is it's a big deal. I'm not trying to get to that point at all, but Jim Harbaugh wants to run the football.
Sure.
And I think what they did in the offseason with Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins will give him kind of a understanding of what they need to do when Justin comes back, right? Because you look at how the volume of passes we talked about that he threw in his first years in the NFL, which I thought they would take some of that off of his plate. And Dio, look, when you talk about Justin Herbert, and I used to be on here ranting and raving about moving around, I thought when Harbaugh showed up, we'd get a better version of Justin Herbert. Now, we might not get the astronomical numbers, and we might not see those gaudy stats, but we would see a more efficient quarterback similar to what I think is going to happen with Josh Allen in Buffalo. So it'll be interesting to see, one, how they manage the injury, but more importantly, this offense is going to be what the offense is going to be. And I want to see if Harbaugh is going to try to establish that line of scrimmage, which he's known for.
Yeah, but Herbert won't be getting those reps, at least not for the time being, Mina.
Yeah, this is disappointing in part because I thought we might actually see more of a robust quarterback run game. I mean, we're talking about Jim Harbaugh. The offensive coordinator is Greg Roman. So when they hired him, I thought, get ready to learn QB power, buddy. And I was actually kind of excited to see it because Herbert's a good athlete, and I think this is going to limit him in that regard. So then I go from the QB run game to his ability to navigate a collapsing pocket, his movement abilities against pressure, and that's where you get a little bit worried, even with this rebuilt offensive line, and they've invested a lot into it, obviously drafting Joe Alt. Bradley Bozeman takes over for Corey Linsley at center. I feel like there's going to be a bit of an adjustment period, frankly, because as much as we like this offensive line, and I like the Chargers' approach to team building, it's still young and it's still in transition. And if the quarterback can't move back there because of it, there could be some rocky performances early on.
Yeah, definitely the potential to just set back their game plan.